wrestling fans, and we are the degenerates that want to talk about it. Welcome to Kicking Out at 2. My name is Michael. As always, with me is Tori. Hey, Tori.
So, again,
Uh, we are trying this for a second time. We had some technical difficulties on the first run, so hopefully we will be just as entertaining as we were on the first one. So here we go. We are going to talk about some news. We're also going to talk about Monday Night Raw that just happened this past Monday. So the first bit of news is Matt Riddle. We saw that he was written off of TV. We assumed it was for a character refresh. We assumed it was for maybe an injury, something to get him off screen for a little while. Come to find out, no. According to bodyslam.net, Cassidy Haynes reported that Matt Riddle actually failed a wellness policy test. This is a second hit on it. It seems that the drug test, if he has another one, will result in rehab or termination, meaning that this is the second one. So that was the options he was given, was rehab or termination. He has taken rehab, so he's going to try it. Thank goodness. The first one he had was back during Vince McMahon's regime. That's when they postponed his Clash of the Castle match that he had. So, I mean, that's where we are, and it's unfortunate. There have been other reports that his life has kind of been questionable lately.
questionable choices.
Yeah, questionable choices. He got divorced. He lost his kids for a bit there. Obviously, we don't know everything that's going on in his personal life, but I mean, even just myself, I'm a Doris dad, and it was very amicable between me and her, and it was still hard. So whether they were getting
Right.
along, whether it was a good split, doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like, you still have those feelings that you've lost. So hopefully he turns it around. Hopefully he gets his life in order, and hopefully he comes out of this, back to where he needs to be. Because we may joke about his character and his problems on TV, but no one deserves to live in that type of issue.
Right. No, and having been divorced, it sucks and it's hard. And to know that he's going through all that, I appreciate that they're saying, hey, this is your second strike. We need to address it. We don't want to just fire you. But if I remember the policy correctly, unless they changed it with new regime, 3 strikes and you're done.
Yeah, usually that third strike, you're
So
done. It is interesting to note that there was also a report a while back that because of things that have been going on in Congress, the different thoughts about marijuana now, they've stopped testing for marijuana. So that means it most likely was a more hard substance, which is unfortunate.
like
Um,
I said, I read something, and I'm not saying this was reported. I'm just saying this was the tweet, but it was a comment about Riddle doing that booger sugar off of them dabs of weed, and I'm like, that's not good at all, folks. That's
no,
not no. That's that we're not no. Mm-mm.
no. Um, so hopefully he gets it straight. Hopefully he gets his life back in order. Um, Speaking of bad situations, Vince McMahon wants to come back. Um, there have been
I have
reports.
very strong feelings about this.
Yeah, there's reports um, from the Journal that Vince wants to come back, and his plan is he's coming back. Um, let's talk about our feelings about an idea of him coming back, and then we'll hopefully end it with some good news that we heard from Fightful today.
I will say, if they welcome him back, he takes over creative, and honestly, whether he's on, and I'm going to amend what I said the first time we talked about this, whether he's on screen or not. If he comes back, he's taking over creative. He's doing just right back in his position like he was. I'm done. I will no longer watch or support the product. I What he did, while maybe legal, treating these women this way and acting like you didn't do these things and denying it all. We literally have the NDAs, bro. You don't have somebody sign an NDA when nothing happened.
Right.
And so I just Nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'll pass.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean it's an interesting loophole um, in business that this type of thing is able to happen as long as someone's willing to sign a thing to say it didn't happen. Um,
or to sign a thing that says I'm never going to talk about this.
right. I mean, essentially denying by omission um, that any of this actually happened. It's very sad. Um, I had mentioned in the previous recording that maybe if he came back as some sort of consultant on the financial side and that's all he did, because he still has a mind for some of that. Obviously, his mind for the creative side of the business has gone well beyond the wayside.
Right.
Just from what we've seen, um, but for him to seemingly want to come back in full force to what he was, no. So the good news about that is Sean Rossap has talked to over a dozen employees, staff, and talent. So a good mix of people. And so far, all of them has said he's not wanted back. So
Because it's so much better.
yeah.
Like I'm excited about WWE shows again. I haven't been excited about a WWE show since before I came out
Hmm.
as a trans woman. I didn't care. I stopped watching it because I didn't care.
Yeah, it's amazing the difference that we've seen. And that's just speaking as a wrestling fan. Digging into the financials, their ratings are up. They're making more money. They mentioned that since that first pay per view that Triple H took over, every pay per view has been sold out ever since. So, and that's something that
Because the
we were
show's
here.
exciting again. You're
Yeah.
getting logical things. For those of
Yep.
us for anybody wondering, I'm not ignoring Michael. I'm watching ROH Final Battle at the same time. So my facial reactions and responses are not to him, it's to what I'm seeing.
That's right, because I'm not that entertaining. But uh, yeah, there's no reason to bring him back. There's no want as far as from the outside. Maybe there are people inside the business that would want him back. I'm sure there are some of the older heads that probably liked the regime the way it was, but you can't deny the success of the business that it is now. Live attendance has gone up, making more money. It's more of an more of an engaging product. Like there's no reason to bring him back.
No, the shows are better, the writing's better, the stories are better. They're not great. We're still dealing with some fallout from things that he had done.
Yeah,
But there definitely are some uh, some things that are carryover that we need to deal with as it goes on.
yep,
But I definitely there is not a single thing that he can bring to the table to make me think that him coming back is a good idea.
yep. Um, all right, so that's gonna go ahead and lead us to Monday Night Raw. Um, we jerked the curtain with the women's number one contender match, which was surprising in itself to me. And this match was full of surprises.
In all transparency, I didn't see about the first 10 minutes of the show. So fill me in.
All right. So Bailey comes down, obviously has damage control with her. Kai and Sky come out there. While the lights are down, there's kind of a shadowy figure comes out and starts attacking Sky and Kai. Lights come up. We see it's Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is taking out both of those girls by herself and then chases them off with a chair. And so now we have a legit one-on-one match between Alexa Bliss and Bailey. Great way to tell that story. Great way to make it where it's not a predictable thing. You and I both, ever since we heard this match was being done, we thought from the beginning, even with the two triple threat matches, that it was Bailey's to lose. Like
Right.
she was the only one that made any sense to what was going
Right.
on.
And that's,
Um,
and
but
I
but
guess kind of one of those, knowing that they ran them off,
mhm.
I don't think that would have changed my opinion on the match because Bayley can't stand on her own.
Right.
She was the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion, wasn't it? She's been a tag champ, an NXT champ. Like, she's literally done it all.
Yeah. She's definitely done it all. She's definitely a force on her own. I think with the story with her lately though is that she has lost something, because it seems like, as Becky said, like she's the loser in the group. They're winning tag titles, they're winning matches, you're winning nothing. So
Yeah.
maybe that's what we're continuing with, because in this particular match, closing statement of it is, we try to do a drop toe hold into a turnbuckle, a little messed up spot. She misses it, but Alexa Bliss then gets up, does Twisted Bliss. She wins the match, which
Shocked
was,
me.
yeah, absolutely. That happened. I immediately text Tori because I could not believe that just happened.
Me
That
either.
was the opposite of what we thought, and it's one of those things, like leading back to the news story. It's moments like this that make me enjoy where we're at, because it's surprising me again. I can't look at what they're doing and write out 6 weeks of TV anymore of what I know is going to happen, because they only do what makes
It's too
sense. Yeah.
obvious.
Um,
Okay, we're on the Briscoes FTR, so if you lose me, that's why.
all right. So
Or if
what?
you see me reacting and don't hear anything, it's because I muted the mic to scream at something.
Um, where we're at after that is another surprising moment.
Yes.
So Alexa Bliss is obviously there, and you got Bianca, who came out earlier. There was a little scuffle between her and Bayley during the match, which then again, still, as this match is going on, to me only makes sense that she would have won. So even we're throwing surprises in there. But so Bianca gets up in the ring. You get the kind of like championship face off. She raises the belt. She goes in to shake Bliss's hand. Bliss, I'm not going to shake your hand. Give me a hug. And then behind Bianca, we see the Bray thing float up again.
That little
And then,
moth.
yeah, that little moth. And then the hug turns into the setup for the Sister Abigail. Bianca looks at Alexa and kind of has this like, what the hell look. And then there's a snap of Alexa as well, of her going, oh, what am I doing? And then they kind of just back away from each other,
It
both
was
looking
it was
confused.
it was like Bianca looked at her like, "Hey," and Alexa seemed she had a look of confusion,
Yeah.
which I will give this girl all the credit in the world. Her acting chops are there because I was like, "Ooh, that's good."
Yeah. She legit looked like, I don't know what the hell just happened. So definitely a good lead up, good
And then she
surprise.
left looking confused. Yeah, no, that was top guys. That was definitely well done, and I'm liking. See, I love a good slow burn,
Mm-hmm.
and this is very much a good slow burn.
Yep. Um, I would be remiss if I didn't mention again. There have been some chatter that I've seen of people thinking they're like ham fisting some of this Bray stuff. Um, just wait and see, because we don't know where this is going with her. It
We
could
don't even
be
know that
she's,
he's doing it intentionally. We don't. There's
yeah,
a lot of variables here that they're not talking about, and I'm fine with them not talking about it.
right.
We don't know if it's just. Oh wow, FTR's trunks on the back of the dates. That's
Yep.
fantastic. But we don't know what they're going to do with it, and I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Like,
Keep me entertained. Don't give me the details. Just surprise me in the end. I'm fine with it. We have a little backstage interview from previous in the night from not American Alpha, the Academy.
we
Um,
wish it was American Alpha because American Alpha was entertaining.
poor Otis. Um,
Let me rephrase that. They were entertaining and really, really good in the ring. Alpha Academy is entertaining, and Chad's really good in the ring. But I'm gonna be over here watching this now. Um,
well, you got Chad and Otis, and they're complaining about last week about the milk situation. Um, AJ Styles comes out with his crew, with the OC. We get more of the nerd shush back and forth, which
so
leads to an
stupid.
AJ Styles versus Chad Gable match. Um, a good technical match. Not sure what we're doing here because I don't buy that Chad Gable and the Alpha Academy are any sort of threat to
To
AJ
the
Styles or
OC.
the crew.
Right.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
buy it.
and it's AJ and Gable. The match was great.
Yeah.
It's a great match because those two are both of them are 100% five tool players.
Mm-hmm.
They are. You can say a lot of bad things about both of them. What you can say is that they're bad in the ring.
Right.
Gable has never gotten the shake that some of the other people have, but he can absolutely get in there and go hold for hold, toe to toe with anybody in the WWE right now, believably.
For
You
sure.
could put him in there with Brock, and I'm sorry, that's a more believable match than AJ is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
So I
that's the
definitely think that Chad doesn't get near enough credit or respect
mm-hmm.
for what he can. Oh shit, what he can do.
Yeah. If I mean with Chad Gable and his bona fides outside of the ring, and
Right,
how good he is in the ring, they could just snap their fingers, change him to being more straight and less of a caricature, and definitely could change my mind on whether he'd be believable as a threat or not. As
right.
he is right now, you're
He's
losing,
not.
buddy. Yeah. But yeah, definitely. Like if they were to flip that switch and put him against Brock, put him against Lashley, like I would love to see those matches with a Chad Gable with a Kurt Angle attitude, uh, a wrestling machine attitude.
Sorry, I choked myself. Um,
Live death on the eighth episode.
right. And then I'll be back on like the 10th. So, it's like a comic book.
Yeah,
Nobody's really dead. Um,
I'm gonna
but
record you in a limo, and the limo's gonna blow up, and
yes,
then you'll come back up the next night.
that's a whole nother thing. At some point we need to talk about those kinds of things
Mm-hmm.
and what people actually thought was happening.
Yeah.
Oh damn, one of the Briscoes is already bleeding.
Yep.
They didn't waste any time with that shit, did they? Oh
No,
shit.
the ref even bleeds in
Um,
this one.
and it's one of those things that if at some point you had Chad Gable come out and literally just be Kurt with
Mm-hmm.
that, as much as I hated him at the time, the three eyes,
Yep.
I would have no doubt that he could beat anybody. Like
Yeah.
Chad Gable's wrestling, first of all, his technical wrestling ability is second to none.
Right.
If you made a top five in the company or even in the world right now, there's no chance that Chad Gable is not on it.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna need them to actually make me believe that he can do that before it's gonna work.
I definitely don't disagree at all.
So great match, but I didn't care.
Yeah. Um, so AJ Styles comes away with it. I think we kind of figured that would happen. There was a backstage thing later in the night. One of the after show things, not an actual
Okay.
backstage segment of the match, where AJ Styles does put over Chad. Says he's holding his ribs, he's holding the back of his neck, and he's like, "Look, Chad Gable's a serious guy in the ring, like, so it's good that they're trying to put him over a little bit." We come back. Judgment Day is now going to face the Street Profits. This is after a little backstage thing with the Street Profits and Tozawa. A funny little interview. It leads with Tozawa yelling that they want the smoke, which was kind of a fun little thing. Then he sips at
Which
one of the solo cups and then screams, and then they all scream,
I
and then
love Akira Tozawa.
yeah.
I love that kid. I've loved him since he was in 205. Since he came in for the cruiserweight tournament, was
Mm-hmm.
in two. Jesus Christ. Since he was in 205 Live, I love Tozawa,
Yeah.
and so you want to put him with the Street Profits, who are arguably one of my top five teams right now. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I love it. Let's do it.
Yep. Um, so ending of this match, Tozawa takes Mysterio out and hits him with a wild suicide dive. Tozawa then tries to get up to the top rope so he can jump uh, uh, over Mysterio, and then he hits Balor instead with a DDT. Tozawa DDTs Mysterio and goes to the top rope. He's going to try to finish him off with that wonderful senton he does. But at that point, Priest grabs him off the top rope into the Razor's Edge gimmick and tosses him from the ring apron into the ring with a Razor's Edge. Freak of nature.
Right.
That leads to Mysterio getting the cover on Tozawa for the win. Judgment Day wins. We get some backstage stuff throughout this with Dexter Lumis and Johnny Gargano. Starting off with their back looking at a whiteboard, trying to figure out what they're going to do with the money.
Them in the armor was hilarious.
Okay.
The whole Iron Man armor that they had drawn on there.
Yeah.
That was great.
A lot of good little references on there. If you haven't seen it, I think Johnny tweeted it out. They actually took a picture of it, of all the stuff that was on it. A lot of cool little references and fun stuff on it. But so they're trying to figure out what's going on. Candace comes out to ask what they're doing. He's explaining to her that we're trying to find a way to spend this money. In the background, you can see Nikki, who's still apparently following around Candice Michelle, again with that long-term storytelling. Candice LeRae, excuse me. Candice
Michelle was not attractive in person. That's a whole different conversation.
Wow.
She wasn't. Look.
Hold on. Let me flip this to a positive. The most naturally beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life was Victoria.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got to see her face to face.
At the time.
Yeah,
For those wondering, no, I did not name myself after her, but I will not hate it, and I love her. She was my favorite female wrestler forever.
Yes.
So anyway, Candice LeRae.
Plus, best theme music I think in the business, in my opinion.
Yes, loved it.
But anyway, so they're back there. You can see Nikki in the background. The headbutt?
No, the Doomsday device with the chain.
Oh, okay. So you haven't got to the headbutt yet. All right. So she mentions, well, it's the holidays, so why don't you just give it all away, which then gives Gargano a great idea. They end up going back to a merch stand and just say they're going to buy the merch stand. So they pile all the stuff in their arms, start to walk away. Cute little moment with Dexter. He has a teddy bear in his hand, hands it to a kid. Kid says thank you. Very cute little moment.
I'm a fan of the Dexter Lumis not talking, that his interactions are.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, the segment they end up in the ring. Johnny says something in his ear.
Yep. The fact that he has said 2 words in WWE.
2?
2.
What were those 2?
I do.
When him and Indy got married. That's nice. We couldn't get just a thumbs up. That didn't count.
No. Because that's an important moment. He had to say something. But so they do that. They're trying to figure out what they can put that stuff in. Johnny has another great idea. Grabs his kid's baby wagon and piles all the stuff in there. They take it out to the ring.
He mentions his son's. He said it. First of all, if you don't know, Johnny Gargano's son, his name is Quill, and he's named after Peter Quill, Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Because Johnny's a giant comic book nerd.
Mm-hmm.
And it's awesome. But he mentions that, and Corey Graves is like, who names their son Quill? What a stupid name. And I'm like, Candace will come out here and bitch slap you, bro. Don't play with her. I ain't worried about Johnny. Candace will come out here and smack you around.
That's right. So they're coming out there with a baby wagon, full of WWE merchandise. They're throwing it out to the crowd. The Miz disguised in black, comes out and attacks them both, steals the money, and starts to run off. Gets up the ramp, and then at that point, Adam Pearce comes out and tells him, no, turn around. Go take that money back to Dexter. That's his money. So he's kind of he's backing him up, walking him back to the ring. Um, he starts talking about how he's been having money trouble. He's broke. He needs this money. It's his money. In which case, Johnny tells him, "No, no, you're rich. We all know you're rich. We've seen you on TV. We've seen you on Miz and Maurice. You're rich." He goes, "Maurice gives me an allowance, and this is the first time that the whole crowd chanting tiny balls has been funny to me." I don't know about you.
Fitting.
Yeah. So we get that chant of tiny balls. Hilarious for this particular moment. Miz says he'll figure out how to get money because what they're going to end up having is a ladder match next week, and they're both going to put matching bags of money up on the top there, and that's where we're headed for here. Little stipulation is he said if he wants the match, he being Gargano says if Miz wants the match, he's got to dress like an elf and help distribute the merchandise that they're already handing out. So that leads us with pictures later in the night of him begrudgingly mean face look, hugging kids, giving them toys. Kind of fun little situation. Damage Control versus Candice LeRae is next. So we have Io Sky trying to take on Candice LeRae since we had a match with her and Dakota last week that she being Candice won. Lackluster match. I don't know what happened with this. But I mean, it was what it was, and Sky won it. LeRae goes for a neckbreaker off the second rope, but Sky pushes her off, and then she connects with her over the moonsault.
That moonsault is so pretty.
It is. The segment seemed weird, like the whole
match seemed weird.
Well, yeah, I mean that in itself, because LeRae didn't get a lot of stuff in, but even just her pushing her off that second rope neckbreaker attempt, like it, I don't know, it just didn't seem right. But Io gets the fall, and we move on. We move on to my moment of the night, as far as I'm concerned. We have Kevin Owens backstage talking to Kathy Kelly. He mentions that Solo Sikoa is a very dangerous man, and at that point, Elias walks into frame, and then you just kind of get this look between the two of them. Elias just kind of looks at him. Owens is like, "You've put me through hell for months. You had you were out here, you were torturing me, you were doing all this stuff," and Elias assures him, no, that was my little brother Ezekiel," which. The look on his face. What was the word you used for that?
Incredulous.
Yeah, the incredulous look on his face of just
the headbutt segment you were talking about earlier just happened.
It was a rough setup, but once he got it done, but Owens is reminding him that okay, well, whether that was Ezekiel or not, the last time he saw Owens hit him with a guitar. It was a different guitar. It can't be that guitar that he has now. He got a different guitar because it can't be that guitar.
Because that guitar is broken because you broke it over me.
Yeah, just spouting off random stuff. It was really nice. Elias says that like he wants him to watch his back, because the Bloodline took out his partner in Riddle, and so he's needing someone to watch his back tonight. Owens stunned, walks away. And then seconds later comes back into frame, stares at him, even more confused, says nothing, and then walks away again. After the commercial break, though,
bleeding like Ric Flair. Jesus Christ!
After the commercial break, ladies and gentlemen, Elias. Elias mentions that Matt Riddle has written a song, and he was going to perform it for him. Which, by the way, real life aside, a stoner wrote a pretty decent song. He plays the song all the way through. He says, "All right, now it's time for a solo." Can we
call him just a stoner right now, or is that too soon?
Well, that's why we're moving on. So Riddle, no, not Riddle. Elias. Elias says it's time for a solo. The moment he starts to play a solo, as always, he gets interrupted. So then Solo and Sami Zayn come out. I mean, this match went about like you thought it would.
It was a
Solo,
decent match, though.
it was a
I
decent
enjoyed
match,
it.
but
Oh
uh,
God,
Solo showing his dominance was pretty good. Plus
I
the shenanigans from Sammy.
I enjoy the fact that they have given Solo more of a Umaga
Hmm.
vibe. Um, it makes me a little less suspicious of the standing there with his arms crossed all the time.
A little bit,
A
because
little bit.
now it may just be his character if he's just stoic and badass. Um, so the end of this, Elias swats at Sami Zayn, who's arguing with him at ringside. Sikoa grabs Elias, but Elias tries to roll him up for a 2 count. Sikoa quickly drops him on the apron, super kicks him, and then he connects with the spinning solo for the win. After the win, though, he tries to then further injure Elias, very reminiscent to what he did to Riddle the week before. Sikoa grabs a steel chair, attacks Elias before wrapping it around his head. He's going to go for the hip attack in the corner, like he did with Riddle the week before, but Kevin Owens runs down to make the save, gives Sikoa a stunner. Sami Zayn runs away. Owens grabs a chair and threatens both of them with it. Sikoa and Zayn then walk off. Elias tapping Owens kind of as a thank you for helping me out. And then Owen turns around and gives him a stunner. Because why not? And then he walks off.
Oh my God.
Which part?
Yeah, no, that stunner on Elias was great. Sorry.
That's all right. That's a rough match. I can
Oh, this
understand
is
being
so
distracted.
good. I
Yeah.
love this shit.
Yep.
Oh Jesus, that pile driver's. Oh shit.
Um, next match we get Asuka versus Rhea Ripley, kind of a rematch from last week because of the beatdown that Rhea gave Asuka. Asuka making her entrance, doing her normal movements, but her face is a lot more muted. The mask that she puts over her face is just blank white, and then when she takes the mask off, she's not wearing her normal face paint, and not smiling or making her normal facial expressions.
I appreciated that Corey pointed it out.
Yes. Corey points out that on her Twitter, she's been very cryptic in posting pictures and little things of her previous character that she had in Japan, um, under her real name Kana, but obviously not playing herself, but playing this very evil character.
Darker character.
Yeah, darker
And
character.
I'm kind of like you. I don't need a bunch of mysticism,
Mhm.
but I'm okay with a little darker character, a little
Absolutely,
more violent, little darker character. God,
absolutely.
it's just some
Um,
brutal hits.
this was a rough match. A lot of hard hitting hits back and forth. Um,
See, this was a lot like the other one. There was a lot of. It was a rough match, but it was rough in that they were both give and take. It
yeah,
would.
absolutely.
This one flowed so much better than the Candice Io match,
Right,
which I've seen Io and Candice have matches before, and they were great matches.
right.
So I don't know what was off last night.
Yeah, just something about the chemistry this night did not work well in her favor. Um, so the closing moments of this was kind of fun. Ripley attacks Asuka from behind. Ripley gets her to the ring and goes for a riptide, but Asuka gets out of it and applies the Asuka lock. Mysterio then puts Ripley's foot on the ropes, gets up and yells at the ref to tell him that, hey, it's on the ropes, and then also starts yelling at Asuka, who then at that point spits blue mist into his eyes. Asuka knocks Mysterio to the floor. Ripley then attacks Asuka from behind with the riptide for the win.
She didn't just attack her; she threw her into Dominic.
Yeah,
She threw her into Dom Dom.
yeah. Uh, which
Okay,
he
so
which he got his
I,
props. He got his props after the night, but we'll talk about that later.
so we're watching this match. First of all, anytime Grace hears the words Judgment Day, she
Mm-hmm.
immediately goes, "Mommy," and
Yep.
wants me to turn the computer around so she can see this because I watch it on the laptop.
Yep.
And then you made the comment that you sent to me And she said, "That's all of us." She said the same thing I did. That's all of us.
Yep. The reference there is it wasn't anybody in the business. It was just someone had tweeted a little uh, clip of Rhea doing kind of a mounted wrestling hold, keeping Asuka down.
A
Uh,
waist lock.
a waist lock, yeah. And then it pans to this older gentleman in the front row who, the moment that she kind of pops her to the ground and so her butt's in the air, he just kind of tilts his head like to get a better look, right in front of what appears to be his grandkids, I'm assuming. But you know what?
That
Get
shit
it,
was so.
get it,
What
old
the fuck
man. Come
is he
on.
doing?
Um,
What is he
um, we get a little snippet of Bobby Lashley warming up for his match later, and then we
doing?
go to
Nobody cares.
commercial. But when we come back from commercial, another great moment in the night. We're seeing Dominic in the trainer's room, and he's got the blue mist all over his face. Dominic is looking at Rhea, saying, "Mommy, I can't see. I can't see. It's in my eyes." Um, and just Judgment Day themselves were just hilarious in this moment because they were just
Oh
riffing off each
God.
other. I think you had mentioned that Finn had kind of nudged.
Finn said to Damien to say something like to be encouraging. It's going to be
Yeah,
okay. Something that is not what Damien Priest did.
no. He said, "Well, it could be worse. It could be something else burning." Which then at that point, Rhea looks at him with this just disdain on her face and smacks him because I don't know if he was just a by God. Um, I don't know if he was assuming she would give him some sort of venereal disease or what, but whatever.
That shit
Um,
was hilarious.
then
That
you,
whole segment was
yeah,
hilarious.
and then they question the credentials of the doctor that's back there and call him an idiot. Um, we get a odd little thing with Dolph Ziggler in the back. We're kind of back to the it should have been me as far as I'm concerned. Tells Austin Theory
What a
that
match.
arrogance will be his downfall, and Kid needs to watch his back. So that is what it is. Bobby Lashley comes out, um, and then we're ready for his match against Seth freaking Rollins. Um, these
Can
two,
we drop the freaking already?
I don't disagree. I don't know why it's still there. Um,
I get why they did it. Seth has carried this company on his
yeah,
back.
absolutely. Um, great match between the two. I don't think they can put on a bad match together. And just even scratching Bobby out of it, I don't think Seth can have a bad match with anybody.
I was about to
Yeah.
say, is it they had a good match, or is it the fact that Seth makes everybody look great?
So here's like Bobby has grown on me in the ring. On the mic, I still don't really care, but in the ring, he has grown on me a lot over the last few years. Um, I think he's finally hitting that rhythm that he had when he was in Impact. Because in
Yeah,
Impact, he was really good, and he really knew what he did well, and he did those things, and he didn't try to do things he didn't do well. And I think he's finally hitting that stride again. And maybe it's from coaching from Trip or the guys that are there
whoever,
trying to push him in a
whoever.
different direction again. Um, but just uh, towards the end of the match here, Lashley goes for the hurt lock. Rollins scurries to the corner, and the referee is knocked out of the ring. Lashley spears Rollins down and covers. The referee slowly gets back in the match. It only gets a 2 count. Lashley yells at the referee. Lashley goes for another spear, but Rollins counters it into a pedigree. Um, I don't like this reversal. He's done it a few times. It's not really a pedigree. He just kind of jumps on him.
Well, I mean, it's not really a pedigree. I would prefer that when they're doing the spear, he did a kick up or a kick up, a kick to the stomach, and then the pedigree. I know it wouldn't be a continuous motion, but I feel like it would look better.
So I thought of two things that I think could have looked good, and that's one leapfrog over the spear, turn around into a pedigree, um,
Yeah,
or and I think he could time this right, a stomp.
yeah.
Stomping him out of a spear, I think would be awesome. And to me, that's a little bit of storytelling in the match too. because he's constantly trying to go for the spear, but Bobby's too strong. If you're doing it with his own motion, making his own motion, his own strength work against him, I think that might be a better way to do it. But
Yeah,
that's just me.
I agree. I definitely think there's some things that they'll have this match again. And the sad part is, as much as I'm not a huge Lashley fan,
Mm-hmm.
they could have this match again, and I wouldn't hate it.
No, I wouldn't hate it either.
Sorry, I'm really distracted by how bloody these two are. Jesus
That's
Christ.
okay. Now the question is though, will they have this match again? Because Lashley furiously is yelling at the referee in the corner. Another referee comes out from behind, which Lashley, I'm assuming thinking it was Rollins, back elbows him, knocks him clean out. Adam Pearce runs down to ringside, gets in Lashley's face. Lashley shoving him away, which infuriates Pearce. And then at that point, Pearce seems to feel like he's got no other course that he could do because Lashley's out of control. And he says, "You're fired." So apparently Lashley is fired? Question mark. We'll see again. I don't know.
Right.
We did get a little after interviews with a couple of people. We had AJ Styles, who was giving props to Chad for being who he was. We still had Gallows in the back calling him a nerd. You had Michin out there, which is giving Mommy Chin vibes as far as I'm concerned. We have Judgment Day that are back there. Dom's still kind of wiping his face off a little bit. The interviewer is talking to them and kind of making it sound like it's a bad day for them. And they say, no, 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 no. We win. We won everything tonight. And it's all because of Dom. So Dom, then at that point, looks at them, looks at the camera. Judgment Day, let's rise. And then they walk out. Overall, though, as far as Raws go, it's a good Raw. We were kind of harsh on a couple of matches. There were good matches, though. It's just
right.
Storyline wasn't there, or chemistry wasn't there for them. Something didn't feel right. Not that they were bad matches. It just was what it was. I definitely think moments of the night wrestling wise, Alexa winning is a massive surprise, and seeing where that story goes is going to be something that makes me want to watch again next week.
I'm curious where the Lashley thing is headed.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting turn. Is it going to be that he goes to SmackDown, and that's just a way to get him off of Raw, or is he going to end up tearing up Raw and forcing him to get his job back?
Right.
So we'll see how that goes. But definitely a good show. Look forward to SmackDown. Look forward to Raw. The next episode we are going to talk about exactly what Tori is distracted by.
This match was crazy.
Yeah.
No, I enjoyed Raw. It was a good show. Candice Io was the surprise of the first match, the fact that Alexa jerked the curtain, and the fact that Alexa won made it good.
Mm-hmm.
Alexa, shut up. Nobody should talk to anybody like I talk to my Alexa, okay? But I each week I think the show is getting better. Like, you can see the difference between these shows now, and I understand it's different because Hunter's right. They have a creative team, and they're actually using the creative team.
Right.
So I'm a much bigger fan of what I'm getting on my TV. Like you said, I look forward to Raw. I look forward to SmackDown. I'm kind of out of the loop on NXT, and I kind of, the New Day being there makes me interested.
Yes.
But I would definitely like to see NXT be treated more as a third brand, not a developmental.
Yeah.
Which
who knows? We may go back that way with the statement that Regal's coming back, and apparently he's gotten a vice president role of some sort. Maybe that's vice president to NXT, and we're gonna try to bring back some of that old fever and fervor of what we had before with Black and Gold.
The original NXT was so good.
Yeah.
Oh, food match.
Well, and especially now, so like we've talked about Level Up a couple of times, like especially with Level Up being there, because that to me is perfect developmental. It's just a YouTube series, same arena. They can come out there, they can try some stuff, and see how they do in front of a crowd without messing with NXT.
Right. And I also think that doing the level up thing is a good thing. They're getting that exposure, but you're not putting them on television
Hmm.
where they have potential to embarrass themselves.
Right.
So I definitely, like I said, I'm much happier with where the WWE as a whole is going. Long-term storytelling, slow burns, slow builds, little things like the whole thing with Candice and
And
Nikki.
Nikki, yeah.
I love that shit. The little
Which,
thing with Alexa and the thing on the screen coming up and her responding to it.
yeah.
Just little things make it better.
Which to the point of Nikki, I did forget that there was another little like after the show segment where Nikki's in the back. She's kind of talking to herself. She's saying, "Do you think she'll like it? Do you think she likes it?" Um, and she's drawn what appears to be in chalk her symbol on the wall. Next to it's a little caricature of Candace, and then there's two dates. One date being the date that the Sanity had debuted, and then the other one was her last match with Candace in NXT.
Debuted in NXT or debuted on the main roster?
I believe in NXT.
Okay. Because the main roster version of Sanity was just that was booty.
It was. Here's the thing though, like I'd have to double check it to see which dates they were. That was something that I saw another fan had picked up on. Um,
Gotcha.
but to me, either date matches for what she's doing. Because if it's the original Sanity, then that teases the fact that we might be getting Sanity back together, with Eric Young coming back in, and little teases from Alexander and from Damo. So that's cool. If it's the other date, to me that still makes sense because that's the date that they took her out of it. So now we have her referencing Sanity left me,
Yeah.
and now that's why I'm crazy.
Interesting.
So I think either way that can make sense. Um,
Yeah. Like I said, I just those little things are what makes Raw better.
yes, absolutely. The little through lines. Obviously, we can't do it all the time. There's going to be times that we can't have
No,
it,
but
but just little
there were
sprinkles now
times
and again of
before,
moments.
and there's been stuff they've done that has never been explained or moved on, and that's okay, because not everything is going to work.
That's right. Who hit Kevin Owens in the face with a pie?
Right. But I mean, even some of the stuff, how many times do they show something backstage where like there was a car on fire or something or wrecked or something,
Hmm.
and then there was no explanation to it?
Right. Or the whole GTV
Um,
thing back in the day.
right. That's kind of what
Like,
it feels like.
yeah.
But I'm just so much happier with the product. Keep it going like it is. Don't go back to what it was, because if you do, I'm done.
Yep. Well, I think that wraps up another episode of Kicking It Out 2. Thank you for spending your time with us. If you're enjoying us, if you're enjoying this podcast, please support us. Share this episode. Share our channels with others. Follow. Hit us up on our socials that you see below. Uh,
Feedback. Give us that feedback.
that's
We'll take
right.
it.
Give us feedback. Tell if we're doing good. Tell if we're doing bad. Give us ideas. We're new at this, so it's all about growing pains and all about trying to make it a better, more entertaining thing. We literally just do this because we enjoy talking about wrestling, and it gives us a reason to do it for a few hours. So if
Right.
it's something that could be more entertaining for you, that's great. If you're listening to us on Spotify, leave us a rating or review. That helps out the channel on that side of it. To catch all the latest from us, you can follow us on here on YouTube at Kicking Out at 2. Until next time, I'm Michael. This is Tori. Come back and have some fun with us again. Bye.
See you later.